Grow your cleaning business. Make more money. Have more time. This is the Profit Cleaners Podcast with your hosts, Brandon Condry and Brandon Shane.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Profit Cleaners, the only place where you can learn from the top 1% of cleaning business owners to take it to the next level and win. Welcome guys to the podcast today. I am your host Brandon Shane and I'm joined by my co-host
Brandon Condry.
The one and only Brandon Condry, and together you have the Brandons. And guys, we have some exciting news to share with you today. This is a little different format of our normal podcasts. We're not going to be doing a whole lot of teaching, but more importantly, we wanted to share with you guys something very exciting, which hopefully might be a goal for all of you someday, to expand your market and diversify your product offering. So we're going to just talk about kind of what's been happening in our business lately and some stuff we've been dealing with, and had a really cool conversation with our CFO recently, and let's kind of tell him what we're thinking, Brandon.
Yeah, so we've got lofty goals, and we've told you guys about those goals before, but like the really big one is that over time we want to get to like 50 teams, $15 million, and I've always suggested that that's totally possible in Albuquerque, that we need 3,500 people. And after our discussion with our CFO, he has suggested that yeah, it's probably possible. Might take a really long time, but the way that we could get there faster and to kind of hedge our bets against one city, eggs all in one basket, is that we should consider going into a different market. And so he said you could go to a different market with services. You can start offering commercial. You can start doing this. You can do that. You can go to a different location, like a physical place. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to start heavily exploring going into a different city.
Yeah, absolutely. And so on that point, like we were thinking maybe we should pivot, because you can pivot different ways, guys. You can pivot your product offering, or you can pivot into the new market. So at first we were brainstorming, well, should we do, like you said, Brandon, commercial or another side of cleaning that maybe we want to, go into, like pressure washing or something else in that same vein. But I think we really feel like we've got the residential house cleaning down. Like we've nailed it and dialed it in so well. And there's a quote that I love, which is double down on what's working. And it's working. So we figured why make it harder than it is? Just do what's working now. And like you said, Brandon, we've thought we could take this to Santa Fe or another market in New Mexico. But I think we're really thinking diversify outside of that market, just so we don't have all our eggs in one basket, right?
Yeah, so even from like a political standpoint, right? So New Mexico during the pandemic was one of the most heavily restricted states. We had the most business closures. There were capacity restrictions when they were open. We still have a mask mandate that just got extended another month, whereas every other state around us does not. So from hedging your bets against two different kinds of demographics of people in terms of two different cities, but also two different versions of local government, which may work more favorably for us in the long run. So that was definitely part of the thinking, but I do like the double down on what's working. You got that down, why not just clone it somewhere else?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just on that point too, I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, you don't always like following all the rules and fitting in a box. And that's sometimes if you have those like government regulations, you're like, man, this kind of is cramping our style a little bit. We want to be able to grow this way or do this. So yeah, it just opened up an idea for us, and we're like, hey, maybe there is somewhere else. And we've looked at lots of markets, guys, over the years. We're not going to actually tell you the market today. We're going to leave you guys in suspense a little bit and keep that for a future episode, because we're going to dive way more into this. But we just kind of want to give you guys an update on like our thought process right now, why we're thinking of doing this, and maybe something in the future you might want to do, because it is kind of that, you should have this built into your business plan, like future expansion plans, like what happens when you do get it right in your market, like how do you grow from there? Do you diversify your product? Do you go into another market? Maybe it's just another city or another town outside of your town. But in our case, yeah, like Brandon said, we want to actually be in a different environment completely as well to diversify just that much further, because it is a crazy time in the world, and why not diversify a little bit further than just another town or city. So we might end up doing that someday too. But I think this is the right move. We've talked about it a lot, and maybe let's just kind of tell people and share like that thought process. Like I think we've covered some of the why, but is there anything else we're leaving out, Brandon, like that we want to just share with people as we go through, like what we're going to start looking at, what we're going to be planning to do as we do this? Like,
yeah, I mean, there's lots of stuff. So,
yeah,
I mean, we told you the why. It's good. It's good to the CFO spurred us on, said we should be looking at different places, just as a not all the eggs in one basket scenario.
Yeah.
But the other part too is the when, I suppose. So what was the trigger to get here? And really the trigger for that is that things are just running super smoothly on our end, and the growth is, really continuing on. And there is going to be a point, I think, this is like the getting into the economic theory of it, where you might level out. You can't continue to double year over year like in perpetuity. You get into an Enron situation when you do that. But the idea is, well, if you want to sustain the growth, we can't necessarily keep just vacuuming up customers in our local market forever. So instead of waiting for us to hit that plateau, while things are going really smoothly now, we've got access to funding. That was a thing that happened, because the business is, clicking along. We've got better lines of credit available to us through our banks. So the idea is, all right, well, what can we do from an abundance mindset with that funding to put more gas on the fire, more fuel on the fire? Yep. So that was kind of the when. The when is now.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, it's going to be different for everybody, obviously, with your revenues, but we're going to be on track this year. Our goal is to hit 3 million or above, and I think we're already above 2 million booked cleaning services, right, Brandon?
Yeah, we're pushing 2.2 right now in things that are already scheduled, and it's early February when we record this, so we got lots of time with marketing and sales efforts to boost those numbers up.
Yeah.
So there's that, but I think the more exciting part for the listeners and everybody else is that from a content creator standpoint, the idea of us going into a market is not just to tell you about it so you can pat us on the back. We're going to document everything. We're going to record everything. So we're not telling you where or when we're doing this stuff yet, but there's going to be a lot of stuff in the pipeline. I'm taking a trip with Brandon soon, and when we're down there, wherever there is, we're going to record our discussions with a commercial broker while we tour properties. We're going to record some job interviews that we're doing with potential on-the-ground managers. We will record some videos as we're doing the very important market research. We'll call some competitors and get some quotes on some places. And you guys you'll have access to all that stuff in the future as a course, maybe, I think, is what we're thinking about doing. So if you are listening to the podcast and you don't have a cleaning business, you're just into it, well, now might be a good time to jump on board, because you can literally follow along week by week as we show you what we do when we're trying to come into a new market that we're not super familiar with.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So Brandon's spilling the beans right there. And guys, it's happening. This is not just an idea anymore. Like, we've talked about it so much so, and we really have listened to you guys. I mean, your emails and when you guys reach out to us, there still are quite a lot of you that have found the podcast for the first time, which is awesome. Thank you guys for being here and listening. But if you're at the very beginning stages of launching your cleaning business, this is something that we realized that we just jumped into teaching our other courses, how to get customers and how to systematize and organize it, and with the cleaning systems. Those courses are out, but what we are lacking is kind of that logical next step. If you guys are listening to the free content, you're like, well, I want to go from a solo cleaner, just cleaning with myself or my team, to actually launching a real cleaning business that is fully fledged, that we've got a professional operation, a professional brand, and we're going to scale from there. So that's kind of that next step we felt like we were missing already. And this is kind of the perfect pivot for not only us, but for you guys. If you are in that stage of very beginning, getting started, it's going to be really exciting for you guys, because like Brandon said, you're going to get to kind of come alongside us. We're going to be sharing a lot more of these podcasts in the future. What we're doing exactly behind the scenes, and then we're also documenting it all step by steps and putting this into our lunch course, whatever that's going to be called. But stay tuned for that, because that is going to be coming out really soon. And it's going to be really exciting, guys, because you're going to just see exactly how we do it. It's not going to be, this is how we did it 5 years ago when we launched in New Mexico. It's going to be, here's everything we're doing right now, come alongside us.
Yeah,
and
with new knowledge,
Yep.
years of knowledge in the business. We're not going back to square one the way we did it when we didn't know what we were getting into. We learned a lot of lessons along the way. Well, now we're
Right.
going to take all the applied lessons, all the applied learning, and do it again and see if we can get to 7 figures in a quarter of the time, like a third of the time, like something ridiculous. Like we're trying to put the hyperdrive on here and get there really, really fast.
Yeah, guys, and it's gonna be like, practice what you preach. I mean, we're going to be showing you, we're going to take our systems, we're going to take our marketing systems, we're going to take everything we did in the beginning, and that's not documented yet in the launch course, and put it into this launch course for you guys. And then, like I said, just leverage our, like, everything you guys can work with us. If you work on a consulting call with us or purchase any of our other courses, that's the exact systems we're going to be implementing to do this. So we're going to prove to you guys that it works in a new market and double down on what's working, guys. So we believe in it so much, we're ready to do it in another market, and that should tell you guys something. Like, these systems definitely do work. We are so excited to be doing this. So but yeah, so we will update you guys more in the future on like what that's going to look like. Like Brandon said, like, we're looking at the planning stages right now, so it's all kind of in brainstorm mode. That's why we don't have a whole lot to share other than we're doing it.
We're keeping it vague on purpose, but part of the reason that we wanted to tell you now is that you, as the listener, have a chance here to help steer the ship a little bit. So if there's anything specific that you want to hear while we're documenting this process, that you want to see, tell us now. We've got time to kind of implement what we're going to record, what we're going to document, what videos we take along the way. So if there's something that you want to actually witness as it happens, now's the time to let us know.
Yep.
Otherwise, we're going to shoot from the hip and do the Profit Cleaners thing, where we're just going to figure it out as we go along and record everything and question nothing. But you guys have the chance to tell us what you want to see.
Yeah, some people call that building the plane as you fly it, which it's fun sometimes, but I feel like we've got a lot better grasp this time around. We're not completely flying blind here as we build the plane, because, like I said, now we have years of experience behind us. We've got a lot more resources and mentors, and just all the crash course doing it ourselves, making the other mistakes. So it's going to be really exciting, guys. I think we are going to be able to go 10 times faster doing it on this new market, and just going to be super exciting to share that with you guys. And as always, as we find new stuff that's working, we update it in our courses. We let you guys know on the podcast, things like that. But yeah, it's just it's an exciting time. I think this year is going to mark a whole nother chapter of business for us, and we're going to launch into these other markets. And just to get you guys thinking and your wheels turning a little bit, like, the very first things you want to do when you go into a new market, obviously, is verify that it's a good market. So we're going to be sharing stuff, like, in future episodes as we do this, what we're going to do to look at the market, like looking at competition, looking at the feasibility and the viability of that market. Is it good, and why is it good, why is it not good? We're going to be looking at, like Brandon said, he's coming out here to the place, the secret headquarters, wherever that is. We're going to be meeting with brokers, and if we might be bootstrapping out of a storage unit, or we might be getting a property to start. We'll see what happens, but it just depends on how much funding we want to pour into it all at once. But there's things like that you got to consider. So where are you going to have your startup location? Are we going to buy cars? Are we going to lease cars? Where are we going to, I think this time around we're going to start right off the bat with a little bit more of an established team, instead of just Brandon and I and some cleaners doing it kind of all ourselves, which is how we started back in Albuquerque. This time around, we're going to really aim to have like a manager right from the get-go, kind of like our Claudia back at the New Mexico office, someone that can really be boots on the ground and handling a lot of that stuff right away. Sound right, Brandon?
Totally, yeah. And the nice thing about doing it this way is that with that manager right off the bat, while we're still spinning stuff up in the background, getting a place, getting cars, buying equipment, building websites, all that stuff, that person can come to Albuquerque, see how the operation runs in practice with Claudia and customer service, and see how everything is kind of flowing the way that it should. And then they'll have a template, like, we know that it looks like this, let's do it. And the nice thing too is that if we're running it under our brand and everything, that we're just gonna, you just go into our software, you go into the Service Fusion, the CRM, and just say like, I need to add another location. The location is here. Here's the address. Here's all the employees that work at that location. All that stuff, all that ability is already built into the tools that we already use. We're just going to start using more of the thing that we're already paying for. So training and Loom videos and all that stuff will already all work because we're just going to keep doing the exact same thing that we've been doing.
Yeah, it's actually going to be really fun because, as you said, it's like we've already got a running version. So really we just have to duplicate that, and it's not going to be like starting from scratch all over. So we can really leverage our teams in New Mexico to help train our new teams. Some of them might be flying out to Albuquerque, depending on what position they're at. But, probably, I'm guessing the cleaners we can train based on our video systems and everything like we normally do. Probably the sales guy, if we have a salesperson right off the bat, that's somebody that would train under Matt back in Albuquerque. Maybe not have to even come back to Albuquerque, but probably the manager would probably be a good person to bring back.
The manager, I think, for sure needs to come back to Albuquerque because you got to see how we're doing things, listening on phone calls. There's a lot of moving parts. You got to see the building. You got to see how the employees flow through the building. You got to be here for a staff meeting. You get to see all those things in person. The sales, I think, in particular, Matt works from home. All of his appointments are digital, like we've told you guys before. So I think that person, the salesperson, could totally train fully remote with Matt and not have to come up here, which saves us a little bit of money. So even though we do have some funding to throw at it, we don't need to burn it all on flights and hotels and stuff. It's expensive to house a person somewhere for a couple weeks. So we're going to try and minimum viable product the travel part of it, but there's definitely a way. And really, this is just showing you guys how to use the course material that's already out there, the training videos and things like that. We're going to show you how to do it fully remote because we're expecting you to do it fully remote. So we're going to do that ourselves as well, especially with the cleaners.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So I think that's pretty much it. I mean, get excited, guys. We're going to be fleshing this out, like showing you guys how to do it step by step as we do it, and it's going to be super exciting. So like I said, just wanted to kind of drop a teaser in here, you guys, and let you know what we're doing, what's going on inside of our business as we grow and as we scale and do a new market. But other than that, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, Brandon. We'll cover a lot more in future episodes on this.
No, like I said, I mean, reach out with any comments you have on things that you want us to include in this like future series of content that we're going to put out. You can get us at hello@profitcleaners.com if you want to shoot us an email. Yep. And then there's 2 Facebook groups. There's the paid and the free listener one. If you're in either of those, certainly hit us up in there as well. And then we'll really hit the ground running. And I think it'll be a fun journey for you guys to go on.
Yeah, and if you guys are getting value out of these podcasts, which you definitely will in the future on this kind of content and anything in the past we've helped you with, please share the value, guys. Reciprocate the value. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, leave us a review. That would be huge. And stay tuned for the future content on this new launch, guys. We're super excited to bring you along with us and show you the ropes as we do it. So until then,
keep it clean.
Keep it clean.
Thanks for joining us today. To get more info, including show notes, updates, trainings, and super cool free stuff, head over to profitcleaners.com. And remember, keep it clean.